By 1936, Margaret Mitchell published Gone with the Wind, one of the best-selling classic books of the USA. A year later, in the UK, J.R.R. Tolkien published The Hobbit, one of his best-known novels. To give context, the Second World War began in 1939, and it had a great impact to everyone in many ways. By the time the war was over in 1946, Viktor Frankl, a survivor of the concentration camp in Austria, published his book Man's Search for Meaning. Another controversial book about this war was published a year later by Anne Frank. The Diary of a Young Girl is the diary she wrote while she was hiding by the time the Nazis invaded the Netherlands. Traveling to China, the Communist Party obtained victory in the Civil War and established the People's Republic of China in 1949.
In 1950, in Mexico, Juan Rulfo published El Llano en Llamas, and at the same time, in England, C.S. Lewis published the first book, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, from the Chronicles of Narnia. By 1951, the American J.D. Salinger published his famous novel, The Catcher in the Rye. Meanwhile, in Germany, Hannah Arendt published Elements and Origins of Totalitarian Rule, analyzing Nazism and Stalinism and creating consciousness. In 1952, another American, Ernest Hemingway, published one of his most iconic books for which he won the Pulitzer Prize and Nobel Literature Prize, The Old Man and the Sea. Around 1955, following the Hobbit storyline, J.R.R. Tolkien published The Lord of the Rings, a book which is still loved and read today. Interestingly, in the same year, Shusaku Endo, who was a famous Japanese writer, won the Akutagawa Award. By 1956, Indian states were reorganized on linguistic cultural basis, recognizing the importance of reinforcing their culture.
Around 1959, in Chile, Pablo Neruda published Cien Sonetos de Amor, an extraordinary work of poetry. 2 years later, in 1961, in Russia, Anna Akhmatova's work, Requiem, was finally finished. She exposed the suffering of the common people under Stalin's government in her book. Just a year later, in 1962, Martin Heidegger's influential work, Being and Time, was published across Europe, in which this German philosopher seeks to analyze the concept of existing. In the same year, Kobo Abe, a Japanese writer and photographer, published The Woman of the Sand, which later became a film of international fame. Going back to Latin American literature, the Colombian writer Gabriel García Márquez published Cien Años de Soledad in 1967, for which he won the Nobel Prize of Literature and is considered a masterpiece of universal literature by Theoria.
Japan in 1968, Yasunari Kawabata obtained the first Nobel Prize of Literature of his country, due to his lyrical, subtle, shaded works. Also in this year, Yukio Mishima, the great novelist and samurai, formed a militia called Society of the Shield, trying to return Japan's traditional roots. In 1969, also in Asia, the Great Proletarian Cultural Revolution finished, calling upon students to rebel against authority. During this cultural revolution, writers and artists were expected to serve the needs of the people. The same year, the American novelist Philip Roth published Portnoy's Complaint. This work was followed by the American author Maya Angelou, that 1 year later, in 1970, published her first autobiographical novel, I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings, which touched important aspects of her life as a black young girl who learned to express her feelings through literature.